I'm starting with a question. How many people actually read or hear about climate change daily? Okay. And when was the last time you heard about climate change? Was it a week ago, a month ago? Do you remember? Any answers? So, while we think about climate change, generally we think of these big headlines where we are talking about this massive incident, heat wave that have broken records, a massive landslide, floods, all those things that we are supposed to dread. And people who can't think of it otherwise don't feel bad, because I was also one of them, and that's an embarrassing thing to admit because I am a climate journalist. So I've been reporting on different beats for almost a decade now, but about 4 years ago, I made a switch to covering climate. And when that switch happened, it wasn't a very comfortable shift, because for at least 4 to 5 years in my career, I thought the big news was politics. The parliament, the policies, what we see on news channels every single day is generally just politics. Current affairs, we generally, when we think of it, we think about someone's statement, we think about a particular incident that has happened. Switching to climate felt like a very different thing to me. I've written about businesses, I've written about technology, but I never wrote about science, and that's what I saw climate change as. I thought climate change meant I'll have to understand atmospheric sciences, I'll have to understand physics, I'll have to understand the deep-rooted issues of our society. So when I was asked in 2021, after I came back from covering COVID, my editor told me that from now onwards, can you start covering climate? I said yes, but the first thing I did, like a lot of people do, was to jump into scientific journals. I started looking at climate change impact in those journals, in those data sets, and I thought that's what climate reporting actually means. Understanding climate change means understanding the science behind it. So I was reporting on the data, I was reporting on how we are adding on the greenhouse gas emissions, which are the big industries, how the temperature is changing, all the record-breaking weather events that were happening around the world. I also went to some of these international conferences. The most notable one is the United Nations conference, where all the countries, all the leaders of all the countries come together and they try and form a treaty at the end of the summit. And I would just sit and I'll hear all these promises that are being made, and I'll look at what's really happening, and then the frustration would start to build in. Why aren't we doing what's needed to be done? Why is the world like this? If there are so many issues in the way certain things work, for example, our energy system, fossil fuels is what we depend on for our energy, and that is the biggest contributor to greenhouse gases. Why are we not changing it? Why are we not changing the way our farming works? All these questions and very few answers. If you go to any of these diplomatic events, you'll realize what is being said is actually very different generally from what actually happens on the ground. So I think a good part of my journalism career I spent just feeling depressed about the world, getting up at 8 a.m. in the morning, listing down all the ways scientists think our world is going in the wrong direction, writing about it, and then at the end of the day, just feeling like we live in a pretty bad world. And I was also starting to wonder why people don't care about it. I was constantly questioning this. I was talking about it with my family and with my friends. And even when I would tell them all the things that I've done at a conference, things like, all the country heads, what they said, what is happening, what my concerns are, even my family wasn't very interested. They will just ask me at the end of it, like when I came back from Egypt, I told them what happened, and their response was, so how are the pyramids? Me being climate journalist was basically like me being a bum of the party. Like I was just not the most upbeat person to be around. So how did all of that change for me is what I wanted to share with you, because I think that's where the whole climate debate in today's world lies. All the doomism, all the negative talk around climate, all the association that we have with disasters and negativity is what is actually making us immune to changes and what is stopping us to do the required things. I, after feeling that frustration after a point, realized that what was happening to me is exactly what is happening to everybody who reads or understands about climate change, even those who don't. There is so much in this world to care about, so many things to worry about, that we can't really sit down and consume hours of news or information about any disaster event and then try and frame our mind around it and then fight off disinformation online to find the reality of what's actually happening and then do something about it. Everybody is tired, and unfortunately, there is so many bad things in the world that it's impossible to really feel upbeat and motivated. I can tell you about how many deaths we've had this year in heat waves. It will not make a difference. Why? Because there have been a lot of deaths, unfortunately, for multiple other reasons as well. This is why I feel climate journalism in general or news in general sometimes fails to motivate us in a manner where how we need to be. Because when we talk about headlines, like I'll just show you quickly what kind of headlines we generally see. This is the image that you usually see. The polar bear one has been like the mascot of climate change for a very long time. When you think of climate change, you think of a polar bear on an ice sheet which is melting. People struggling during heat, people struggling during floods. All of these things we look at, we feel bad about those people that we see, we feel bad about our world, but after a point, we forget about it. And that's normal, because even as a journalist, when I write about these things, after a day I forget about them. That's just how human brain works. The kind of headlines we generally see, all these major events that you probably can't recall, I must have reported around maybe 50, 60 events just this year, which were all record-breaking. Trust me, I can't recall all of them. I know there are record wildfires going on in Brazil. I know there are record floods going on in Europe. All of these events are worse than what they used to be. But sitting here, how long can you actually think and feel about those things if it's not directly happening to you right now? But why they are happening is a result of everything happening everywhere in the world, which is why collective action is just so difficult, and to motivate people with these kind of imageries is just so difficult. In India as well, we've had a lot of extreme events. We can list all of them, we can talk about the damages, but not a lot changes. I remember one story when I was reporting on heat waves a couple of years ago in 2022, when the heat was particularly brutal in the north. I was speaking to one resident in a posh gated society in Noida, and I asked them that, do you feel that this summer is particularly harsh? And that person was like, no, I think it's okay. Like, I've seen worse, but I've also seen better. It's not a good summer, but it's fine. Then I asked them, what is your electricity bill like? Has it increased a lot in the last few years? And then the person felt the passion. They were like, yes, it has like doubled in 5 years. This has never been so bad. Then I asked him that, how do you feel about these changes? Like, do you not feel agitated on the temperature increase as well and the electricity bill increase as well? Do you feel that this is unfair? And his response was, these things just happen in small little parts every single year, every single month. So we don't really realize it. And then he gave this analogy that we are all like a frog in a boiling pot. Things keep changing around us, like a frog. If you put it in a boiling pot, the temperature will keep increasing. It will not realize that it is boiling to its death. All of us are pretty much like that. We don't always realize that we are living in a world that's changing around us. But all the data shows us that it is. There are all these maps that you will find on news channels everywhere, news outlets, all the stripes and data that will show you how much carbon dioxide we've accumulated, how much temperatures have gone up. Look at the areas in white that are extremely, extremely at risk of becoming unlivable in a few years. All of these things are happening, but our reality is just this, our present. So how do we actually find a way to move to a better world instead of feeling paralyzed by all of this information. For me, I think as a reporter, I felt like I cracked the code when I realized that being a climate reporter does not mean just talking about climate-related events. As a climate reporter, I have been writing about almost everything you can think of a reporter can cover. I write about technology, I write about fashion, I write about food, not just agriculture, but also the food on our plate and people's cuisines choices. All of those things. I've written so many different stories that I never explored earlier. The only thing I needed to do was to be aware of the climate impact. Understand how everything connects to climate and our wider world every single day. And this is, I think, the lesson that any one of us, you don't have to be a journalist, anybody can learn. You don't need to become a climate activist or become a climate scientist to work on climate crisis, but whatever skill set you have, if you want to become an engineer, if you want to become a fashion designer, whatever you want to do, just think of what the impact of your action is going to be on the world, and then can you do better? Even in your daily decisions, the Google search you do, the food you select, the clothes you buy, so many things eventually lead to some sort of carbon footprint. So many of our decisions are supposed to be maybe not very good for the planet or maybe a little better for the planet. And I think that's where the distinction lies. When we stop obsessing over these big events and think of climate only as a disaster and something that's going to end the world, we actually stop ourselves from doing these things. When we think of climate as something that is our reality, that is our zoomed out view of our life, of our world and our contribution in it, then we actually connect with the world better and we eventually make choices that are better not just for us but for the world as well. So to conclude that, if I can give you just 2 questions to ask yourself before you take any decision, anytime you're going to do anything, just ask, is this actually good for me? Or is this like a temporary gratification? Or if it's good for me, is it also good for the planet? The answer to both questions in most cases will not be very different. If it's generally good for you, it's generally going to be good for the planet as well in the long term. So that's what we have to think of. The sustainability we are talking about is basically our ability to sustain for a longer period. And that's what matters, I think. Thank you.